Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. For love is strong as death, jealousy as cruel as Sheol. Its flames are flames of fire, a flame of Yah. Many waters are unable to extinguish it, and floods do not wash it away. If one would give all the wealth of his house for love, it would be utterly scorned. The Kiddushin is the first part of two parts of a Hebrew marriage covenant. The second part is the Nisun, which will be the actual wedding that will take place this spring. They are standing under a chuppah. It's a canopy on which a Hebrew couple stands during their betrothal and wedding ceremony, and symbolizes the home of the couple that they will build together. In a spiritual sense, the covering of the chuppah represents the presence of Elohim over the covenant marriage. In Hebrew, betrothal is frequently referred to as sanctification, or kiddushin. That's where this comes from. On account of the bride becoming sanctified or dedicated, if you will, to the groom. In strict accordance with this sense, the ancient Hebrew halakha declares that the betrothal is equivalent to an actual marriage and only to be dissolved by a get or formal divorce. This setting aside or becoming set apart and being dedicated to your mate is an incredible word picture of how we're supposed to be dedicated or set apart as the bride to our Heavenly Father. In Ephesians 1, verse 4, it says, even as he chose us in him before the foundations of the world, that we should be set apart, blameless before him in love. And in 1 Corinthians, or do you not know that your body is the dwelling place of the set-apart Spirit who is in you, which you have from Elohim, and you are not your own? For you were bought with a price. Therefore esteem Elohim in your body and in your spirit, which are of Elohim. In Bereshith, or Genesis 24, the scriptural passage refers to the negotiation requisite for the arranging of a marriage, which were conducted by members of the two families involved, or their deputies, and usually required the consent of the prospective bride. And we have the consent here. But when the agreement had been entered into, it was definite and binding upon both groom and bride, who were considered as man and wife in all legal and religious aspects, except that of cohabitation. We have here today Jared Seltzer and Hope Hamilton making a public declaration of their commitment to each other in this betrothal ceremony. In ancient times, the process in between the betrothal and the nisuin, which is the wedding, usually took about a year, sometimes longer. They're not going to wait that long. They have a set time. They have a place set in the spring. And in the meantime, Jared is going to be preparing a place for his bride to be. He will be constructing a home for himself for Hope, just as in ancient times the groom constructed a home for his beloved.
As for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh, lifting holy hands in worship.
In John 14, Messiah states, "Let your heart not be troubled. Believe in Elohim, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many staying places, and if not, would I have not told you? I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I shall come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you might be also." Hope will consecrate herself for her husband by preparing set-apart garments for the upcoming marriage. Shaul puts it this way in Ephesians: "Husbands, love your wives, as Messiah also did the assembly and gave himself for it, in order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, in order to present it to himself a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle in any of this sort, but that it might be set apart and blameless."
Voice of my beloved, behold he comes, behold he comes, leaping o'er the mountains, bounding over the hills. My beloved is like a deer, behold he comes, behold he comes, there he stands beyond the gates, lovingly he waits. Then he calls and speaks to me. Arise, my love, come away, for you see that the winter is past and the rain is gone. Life awaits, the time has come to see. Beloved, let me see your face, hear your voice, your voice so sweet and lovely face, captivates my heart. I am my beloved's and he is mine. Arise, my love, come away, for your love is better than wine, and the sweet perfume of your love carries my heart away. Arise, my love, come away, for your love is better than wine, and the sweet perfume of your love carries my heart away. I am my beloved's and he is mine. I am my beloved's and he is mine. I am my beloved's and he is mine.
The blessing of the wine comes from a blood covenant, which is a very ancient Middle Eastern Hebrew thing that they do. In Bereshith 15, Yahuwah cuts a deal with Abraham, And of course he's renamed, or Abram, and he's renamed Abraham in chapter 17 a little bit later on. Hebrew 9 states, according to the Torah, almost all is cleansed with blood, and without the shedding of blood there is no forgiveness. And that's what the wine covenant represents. Messiah himself stated at his last Passover meal, referring to the fourth cup of wine as his blood from the prophetic language in chapter 6 of Shemoth in Exodus. These are all examples of the blood covenant that was understood in the culture of the people in the biblical times, something we need to comprehend if we're fully to understand what our Creator is instructing us to do in the Scriptures. There it goes. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam borei hagafim b'shem Yeshua Mashiach. Blessed are you, Yahuwah, our Elohim, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine in the name of Yahushua, our Messiah. Jared's going to take a sip, drink, and then he's going to offer it to Hope. And if she accepts the proposal, she'll take a sip also. Okay, I think she said yes. I think Jared has something prepared for you.
I'm allowed to be nervous. Shamor v'zachor v'diborecha ishmianu el hamluchad. Hashem echad u'shemo echad l'shaim u'lefret halikal lechadodi likrat kala v'neshaba nekah. Torerai kiva olikumi ori shir daberi kevod Hashem halayik nigla echadodi likrat Shaba Neika Oi b'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'vetzala Tochem
One of the blessings of the Kiddushin. Praise be thou, Yahuwah our Elohim, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and has commanded us concerning forbidden relations, and has prohibited us these who are merely betrothed, but has permitted to us those lawfully to us married by chuppah and Kiddushin. Blessed art thou, Yahuwah, who has sanctified his people, Yisrael, by chuppah and Kiddushin. The language of this blessing clearly communicates the central tenet that betrothal and marriage is not a private affair, but one that affects and involves the entire community. In the spring at their wedding, it is not only Jared and Hope who are sanctified by the marriage, the sanctification touches all of Israel. Why? The marriage of a man and woman tells the community that it has the capacity to survive. Marriage reflects the first union between Adam and Eve, who didn't set a private stage, but a stage for the playing out of all human history. Marriage is ultimately a reflection of the survivability of the covenant, and Elohim's covenant with humanity was not made individually, but collectively. All of this emerges from the simple words of this blessing. This is the gift of the ring. Bill?
Be thou betrothed unto me with this ring in accordance with the laws of Moshe and Yisrael.
We're going to have the reading of the ketubah now.
On the 6th day of the week, the 16th day of 16th day of Tishrei in the year 5774, in the county of Bedford in Virginia, Jared, son of Michael Seltzer, said to this maiden, Hope, daughter of Robert Hamilton, Be thou my wife according to the law of Moshe and Yisrael, and I will love thee, work for thee, honor, provide for, and support thee in accordance with truth and righteousness. And I will set aside for thee 10 silver coins. That's really small. Do thee for thy maidenhood, which belong to thee, and thy food, clothing, and other necessary benefits which a husband is obligated to provide. And I will live with thee in the love of Messiah.
And Hope Hamilton, this maiden, consented to become his wife. We'd like to do signatures and witnesses, please. And the congregation says? Amen. William Beach is a witness. And Nicole Lake is a witness. During the reading of the ketubah, I don't know if you noticed, there's 10 silver coins that was supposed to be paid as the mohair or bridal payment. This is a symbolic of a gift paid by the groom to the bride's family. That's me and Christina. but ultimately belongs to the bride. It changed her status and set her free from her parents' household and gave her independence. You have some coins for me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you. Okay. And we'd like to do a blessing. Brandon? You want that?
We're going to do the Birkat Kohanim. And I ask everyone, encourage everyone to close their eyes and focus on your Father in heaven.
Big
Yivarecha Adonai vayishmerecha. Ya'ir Adonai panav elecha vechunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha. Vayasem lecha. Shalom. May Adonai bless you and guard you. May Adonai illuminate you and be gracious to you. May Adonai lift up his face toward you and give you peace.
Amen. Thank you. May the Elohim of peace himself set us completely apart, and let our entire spirit and being and body be preserved blameless at the coming of our Master Yahushua Mashiach. He who calls you is trustworthy, who also shall do it. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for attending and being a witness and celebrating this with us.